2021-22 BRMC Mountain Home High School White Coat Ceremony. I'd like to thank everyone for coming this morning. We are so excited to be able to have this ceremony again after our COVID pause last year. We are just tickled to be able to resurrect this program and get the students back into the hospital. I'd like to take this time to thank BRMC for providing the interns with their white coats, their stethoscopes, and they have blood pressure cuffs that are coming back ordered, and they're coming, so they'll get those as well. Their generous gift will offset any expenses that the students pursuing a career in healthcare will have. That's a nice little package to start someone off on their healthcare journey. I wish back in the day, would have had something so nice when I started nursing school. That just is so helpful when you're trying to make ends meet, to have a little package to get you started. We are very proud of our partnership with BRMC. It's been a great marriage for many, many years. We couldn't do what we do without their support. We'd also like to thank our partnership with ASUMH for providing the students an ability to get their careers started right here, to finish their studies in all their different healthcare degrees. So we appreciate them as well. At this time, I'd like to welcome our superintendent, Dr. Long.
Appreciate everyone being here today. As Alicia had said, this ceremony has become what I would consider the flagship ceremony for recruitment within our local community. And whenever 1 in 4 jobs here within our community are healthcare related, we obviously need to be creating a potential workforce for those careers that do exist here. So just to echo what Alicia had said, really thank ASU Mountain Home, BRMC for their partnership and making this all possible. Parents, thank you all for being here. This is a very nice event. Thanks to BRMC for coming forward too. Students, I'd like to say congratulations. This is awesome for you to be here and to potentially have this opportunity to not only discover potentially what you want to do for a career, but also maybe you find out what you don't want to do also, which is equally as important. So, guys, thank you all for being here, and I appreciate everyone's attendance.
Well, welcome. My name is Sarah Brzezinski, and I'm the Director of Education at Baxter Regional Medical Center, and I want to especially welcome all of you students for the White Coat program. It started a year ago, and I need all parents to understand that each and every one of your children interviewed for a spot in this program, and I got to hear so many stories of how they see their future. And I was able to share that with our leadership team over at Baxter Regional and said to them, despite all the challenges that we had with COVID, would you please consider turning the White Coat program back on and allowing these children to explore healthcare careers? So at this moment, what I'd like to do is share the podium with Shannon Noctegal, our CNO, who was instrumental in making sure that we got the green light this year and allowing 23 students to come into our hospital to continue their exploration of their healthcare careers. Shannon?
You can all sit down. No standing ovation needed. Just kidding. Welcome, everybody. I'm excited to be here this morning. I think anybody that knows me has always known I've been such an advocate for students. It's never, I've been a nurse for 33 years. I can't imagine that. And just a little bit of my background so that you know, I grew up in the small town of 300 people in Peel, Arkansas. Does anybody know where Peel is? No? That's really bad. It's the only town that still has the only running ferry left, I think maybe even in the country, I don't know, but definitely in the state of Arkansas. And I went to school at Yellville from the 3rd grade on, and I graduated Yellville and moved to Little Rock and went to nursing school at the University of Arkansas at Little Rock. At that time, you could enter nursing right out of high school, but you had to take all your prereqs with your nursing. I don't advise that for anyone because it was definitely a difficult journey for me. I took about 23 to 25 hours a semester. I went to school during the summer. I went to school during the winter break. I went to school as much as they would let me to get through my nursing program and be able to go to work as a nurse. So I entered the nursing profession at Arkansas Children's at the age of 19. Wow, that was, I learned a lot. But the one thing that I remember throughout my school is the way I felt unwelcomed into the healthcare world. So when I was doing my student nursing at the different hospitals in Little Rock, I really felt like I was a bother to the staff working busy at their jobs, and they really didn't have time for me. And I remembered at the age of 19 that I would never treat another student that way again in my career. Because what did I want? I wanted people that wanted to be in healthcare. I wanted people that wanted to come work beside me and take care of sick people. I didn't want to drive them away from healthcare. So that's been my passion, my advocacy, along with many other things. But students has been one of my very big passions. So I want you to feel welcomed at Baxter Regional. I want you to see what it's like to care about other people in the healthcare environment. So I was a nurse before COVID. It's kind of like nothing happened prior to COVID. Our world just kind of stopped. But I was a nurse prior to COVID, and I've been a nurse through this COVID journey. And the one thing that has really stood out is that how we have to have each other to get through things like this. We have to lean on each other. We have to basically hold each other's hand and support each other to get through things. So we need people coming towards healthcare, not away from healthcare. Don't let COVID scare you away. COVID, as horrible as it's been, especially for healthcare providers, it's really brought us closer together. And it's really taught us even more about innovation and how to handle healthcare going forward. So my advice to you when you come into Baxter Regional is please be curious. Ask questions. Don't sit back and wait for someone to come and get you. Show your curiosity. Show your passion. Show your eagerness to learn in this healthcare environment. I know it can be intimidating. I know it can be scary because there's a lot you don't know. But that's where we come in. We're there to help you, support you, teach you, and enjoy you. We want to make sure that you also have fun at work because you can have fun in healthcare. We laugh, we joke, and we do fun things because we enjoy each other's company. And the thing we say at Baxter is we're a family. We're with these people sometimes more than we are our own families. So it's a family away from your family. And that's the environment we have at Baxter Regional. So please take that into consideration as you move forward. And we need everybody in healthcare, not just doctors and nurses. We need phlebotomists, those people that draw your blood, respiratory therapists, radiology technicians. We need it all. So any of those things that spark your interest, please look more into it. Ask to seek that experience out and let us show you and give that to you. So through this journey, please, please, please know you're supported. You'll probably see me around the hospital. I usually have this white coat on, unless it's really, really hot, and then sometimes I take it off. But I usually always wear my white coat because I'm going to talk about that a little later, but I'm going to talk a lot about what it represents to me as a healthcare provider and what it represents to the people who see me that automatically know I'm a healthcare provider by this coat. So I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So please let us guide you through this journey. Don't be afraid. Ask questions. Be curious. And anything we can do to make this experience better for you, please let me know. I'm always very curious to hear about students' experience, no matter what kind of student we have. Please let me know. We always work to make things better for every experience. I think this is our second white coat group. Second white coat group, so we learned from the first group what we could do better with you. I'm so glad we've moved past the COVID hurdle and you're able to come into our organization. And I'm going to talk again a little bit more about COVID later, but the one thing I remind the nurses, because I work very closely with them, there's still very, 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 very few people in our country who die from COVID. The difference is our nurses are taking care of all the ones that do. So it seems to them that everybody dies from COVID, but there's still a small portion. And it's been very hard for them emotionally, physically, and mentally. No one likes to watch somebody die. But the other thing that I tell them is you are one of the few people in the entire world that get that privilege. You are one of the few people in the entire world that gets to be between someone and death. So you're the person that gets to make that experience for this patient compassionate, caring, loving. Just you. Very few people in the world get that privilege. So whether you're a doctor or a nurse or a respiratory therapist, you are the one that gets to be with that patient during their worst times. And I consider that a privilege. I consider that something that when I look back on my life, I can say, I made a difference. And I made a difference in the most humane, caring, loving way that a human being can. So I hope that through this journey that you find those highlights, you find those pieces of caring that are rewarding to you, whether it's to touch somebody or smile at somebody or just be present with somebody and ease their minds and ease their anxiety. And then when you go home, you can say, wow, I helped that person today. I helped that person get through a very difficult time. So we'll move on with the program, and we'll come back a little bit later, and I'll talk more about the white coats. All right, who's next? You?
At this point, I'd like to introduce Dr. Julia Gist, who is the Dean of Health Sciences, who's going to talk a little bit about what we offer right here in our backyard.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here today to partner or to highlight our partnership with Mountain Home High School and BRMC. We have the privilege of working with many of you right now while you're in high school. You're taking some of our classes through the secondary program. You're taking CNA classes, different things right now. And we hope we're giving you good experiences in that. Additionally, as you graduate and finish this internship, we offer you opportunities to stay locally, you finish high school, come to ASU Mountain Home, and we have many of the programs that you may be interested in. We have a stair step to different types of nursing programs. Obviously, we have CNA, licensed practical nursing, registered nursing. We have a PTA program, which is a physical therapist assistant program on our campus through A-State in Jonesboro. We offer the phlebotomy class that Shannon just mentioned. We do some medical coding classes, and then we also have our EMS classes. We offer EMT and paramedics. So depending on what you want to finish, we have many opportunities for you here. If what you're looking at is not available here in Mountain Home, we offer you the opportunity to take classes for a year or so and prepare for that and then transfer to another school. For instance, radiology tech and surg tech programs are offered in Harrison, but you can take many of your prerequisite classes here. So we want to work with you. The other reason I would encourage you to look at that is we work with the Mountain Home Education Foundation and the Promise. Hopefully you've heard of the Mountain Home Education Foundation Promise, and it helps you to finish your first 2 years of college without debt. It helps you with tuition that is not covered through any other financial aid. So it is a way to get through at least a couple of years of college without a lot of debt. And that is so important, especially when you're like many of us, you go to school and you go back to school and you go back to school. It takes a while, so anything you can do to help with that is a great benefit to you. We are always looking forward to visiting with you. If you ever have any questions that we can help you with, my office is in Godis Hall on the ASUMH campus on the second floor. You are more than welcome to walk in and visit with me anytime. I had one of your students come in to visit with me last week just to talk for a minute, and that's what I love. So if you're uncertain what you want to do, we have tools to help you with that too, to figure out what the things are you enjoy, what your passion is, and then where that fits in different professions. So you're at an exciting time of life, and the doors are wide open. Good luck.
All right, thank you. So this White Coat program, now that we've totally confused all the students and said we have all these programs for them, what the White Coat program is designed to do is for them to get hands-on experience so that they could go back and say to you, parents, so this is a message for all of you, I want to go to that four-year school, and here's why. Or, and this is where as parents we get really nervous. Now, as a mom of 7 children, my husband and I struggled the day when one of our children came home. We number them, so if that offends you, I apologize. But number 2 came home. And number 2 came home and said, I can't do a 4-year school. And we both looked at each other and said, oh my gosh, what is this child trying to say to us? What he was trying to say to us is he couldn't sit his butt in a seat any longer. And today is a lineman who has a lot of privilege going into storm duty. And what he makes in 3 weeks doing storm is what many of us make in 1 year. And so is he successful? Absolutely. Does he love what he does for a living? Absolutely. Does he own a home? He does. Is he 25? Yes. And so for that, is he successful? Yes. Why? Not because of what he makes, but because he loves what he does. That's what the White Coat program is about. For our students to come into our world and touch things. Now, before you get all nervous, like what things are they touching? You'll see pictures, but they're mannequins, y'all. We're going to have them in a very safe environment. It's our first time operating with the backdrop of COVID. So please understand, we will care for your students. They will be in 2 places, the education building where we do not provide direct patient care, and they will be in our Ed and Gail Goodman Sim Center where we do not provide patient care either, but it does look like a nursing unit. And so it's kind of neat where we've got real live patients that are all based on robotics. And so it responds to medication, they get to touch them, we can make them sick and respond to things. So please keep in mind as you hear about all this backdrop, your students, we promise, are going to be as safe as we can keep them. So with that, what we're going to do is turn it over back to Shannon, we're going to do a White Coat presentation. The whole purpose of the White Coat is for our students to receive the first white coat of many. So it doesn't stop here. It's just the very beginning of their future where they will continue forward with, I don't know. They may start off in nursing and continue on with medical school. They may start off as a paramedic and come back and decide to go into social work. We have no idea, but there is one thing these students have taught us is that it's okay to change careers because they're young. Before I go any further, what I do want to do is introduce 2 of my teammates. Now, I only brought 2, but this White Coat program would not be possible without all the leaders in our organization and a lot of the folks that actually provide direct patient care coming to your students and sharing the knowledge of what they do with your students. So if I can have Amy Myers stand up. She is our RN residency coordinator. So what she does for a living is she welcomes all the nurses that graduate from nursing school, and she does a 2-year onboarding program. It's real intense the first year, and the second year she provides support. So any of your students who go on to nursing school and join Baxter Regional, they will be working with Amy and her team. Another person that I brought with is Amanda Harvey, who is our LMS coordinator, e-project coordinator, but also fell in love with our Sim Center. And so she's very instrumental in coming up with various learning plans in how do we get the Sim Center to be a useful tool for each and every one of your students so they could really feel as though they're taking care of patients. So without further ado, let me turn this back over to Shannon so she could really explain the meaning of the white coat.
Okay, I'm going to have to ask you guys to help me here. So would you mind, please, to take down your mask? You're far enough apart. I don't think I'll get in trouble by anybody to ask you to do that. All right, so throughout your childhood, throughout your teenage years, when you come into a place, if you went to your doctor, you came to the hospital, or you watch TV, what do you automatically know or see when you see somebody in a white coat? What is your automatic assumption when you see this? That they are what? It's okay. Doctor. Okay. So let's just take doctor. We automatically assume they're a doctor. So now let's use some adjectives. So if they're a doctor, what do you assume? That they are what? Smart. Yeah. You got to be pretty smart to get through medical school. What else? Responsible. Good answer. Takes a lot of dedication to study and study for hours, unless you're one of those people that don't open a book and make straight A's. Are any of you one of those people? I don't know. What else? Smart, responsible, what else? What would you go to somebody in a white coat for? Am I making this too hard? How about help? What do you need people in these coats for? Help of some kind. Maybe it's just a note to go back to school, I don't know, but you need this for some sort of help. Either you don't feel well, and so this person is responsible and smart, so it'd probably be the right person to go to for help. What else? Do you expect this smart, responsible person that's going to help you to be nice? Do you expect that? Do you hope that? Do you wish that? Absolutely. So if I'm reaching out to the person in that white coat for help, I certainly hope they're nice to me. Because what we don't want this to represent is fear, which it can if you're a little bitty that doesn't understand what's going on. But we never want this to represent fear. We want it to represent someone that's responsible, someone that's smart, someone that's helpful, and someone that's compassionate. So today, you're going to get your white coat, and then you will be looked on as smart, responsible, helpful, compassionate. And you may be sitting there going, wait a minute, I don't know anything about what I'm getting ready to do. But guess what? The people you run into won't know that. They see that white coat, and they're coming for you because they assume you're smart, responsible, helpful, and nice. The other thing I always teach nurses is fake it till you make it. If someone runs out and gets you and it's your very first day on the job and says, help me, my husband's choking, the first inclination is to say, oh, this is my first day. I don't know how to help. We can always help. We go running to the problem, not running away from the problem. So grab a partner. That's a great thing about working in the hospital is you're never alone. Grab a partner. Let's go help. So you guys know that when you put this white coat on, what does responsibility mean to you? What does responsible mean to you? There's 21 of them? 23 of them? Okay, somebody's got an answer out of 23 people. When your parents tell you that you're being responsible or irresponsible, what do they usually tie that to? Accountability, which means I show up on time, I do what I say I'm going to do. Study. And learn what I need to learn to be able to manage my job. And I'm glad Sarah brought up her son loving what he does. I'm not necessarily certain that I went to nursing school because it was always a passion in my mind. Matter of fact, it wasn't always. I didn't grow up from a childhood going, I want to be a nurse. When I graduated high school, it was a great career path for me. It was a way to be responsible and support my family. But boy, did I pick the right profession. Because after 33 years, I still don't consider this a job. It's my passion. It's what I love. And have I had some really, really hard days? Yes. Have I had some days where I wondered maybe I should not do this anymore? Yes. But it quickly passes. And after 33 years, I can't even think about not doing it. So it's been a great choice for me. All right, so let's get to putting on your white coats.
All right, I'm going to call 5 students. Before I call the first 5 students, let me just take a moment to thank some folks that I just forgot at the beginning. Some of our central office administration, Dr. Nail and Dr. Brown, are here today. Also, one of our board members who also is a parent of an intern, Mr. Jason Schmesky, is here as well. We have Dr. Rob Connor. He is our CTE Business Advisory Board President, and Mrs. Sherry Smith is our CTE Department Chair. And then we have our high school administration here. Mrs. Mary Beth Russell is our principal at the high school. Mr. Philip Goodwin and Mr. Steve Morris are our assistant principals here at the high school. And Mrs. Shannon Ellison is our nursing medical teacher at the high school. So it's a program that's built all the way through and weaved with a lot of support from the bottom to the top administration. So we are very tickled to have them all here. So I'm going to call the first 5 students, and you come up through here. They're going to put your jacket on you and your stethoscope, and then you'll exit back down that way and go back to your seat, okay? So here we have Ella Brashears, Grace Callahan, Gage Cheney, Anna Gilbert, and Elizabeth Harris.
So while the students are getting their white coats put on, part of the white coat program is they will earn the BLS certification. We call that CPR in plain old speak. But they will practice on mannequins. But what's pretty neat that the Sim Center allows us to do is to offer them practice. So they will actually be participating in what we call Code Blue practices. And some of you may ask yourself, well, why are we doing that? A lot of it is to reinforce to the students, why do I have to continue in school? Why must I go and do an anatomy and physiology class? Why do I have to learn about all the innards and the outers of a heart? And a lot of that has to do with cardiac care. And so any class we do offer is so that we could express to the student, stay in school, and to remind them of the applied learning that happens. So CPR is one of the very first classes that these groups of students will encounter, usually in their second week of the White Coat program.
All right. I need Brittany Jenkins, Alexander Jordan, Kylie Clintz, Marianne Love, and Malakalama Lynch. I hope I didn't butcher your name. I'm sorry if I did.
So this next slide is pretty interesting. The students loved when we went and had radiology come up. I won't spoil too much of it because it's a learning experience for them. No humans were involved in this class. We did go to the butcher, though, and got some chickens, and we were able to x-ray some chickens. The students were involved in the whole process of x-raying the chicken and then able to take a look to see what was wrong with the chicken and what did the chicken eat that caused whatever caused them to come into the hospital that day.
All right, at this time, Cameron Mahan, Riley Patterson, Jordan Rittenberg, Madison Schmesky, and Riley Schmitz.
So on the screen, you'll be able to take a little peek at what our Sim Center has to offer. We have 4 different patient rooms that we're able to modify. What we show you today is a picture of our critical care, and you'll see our mannequin Apollo. And Apollo is able to mimic everything that you can possibly think of with a young adult all the way up through a geriatric patient. He gets used a lot for anything to do with vent management, as well as any code blue practices. So your students will be involved. We're probably going to have Apollo have COVID for a while. We'll probably have COVID suffer a heart attack. And then you'll see over to the other side an OR. And so this is where your students are going to be able to surge. They'll do some surge tech to see if they're curious about working in the OR. And they will be stitching if they're curious at ever becoming a first assist. But I promise you they will be stitching pig skin as opposed to live humans.
I don't know how impressed you are with this, but as a nurse also, I am just tickled. Like, I wish I was them because I want to get in there and do it myself. And, you know, most of us nurses, this old nurses, we didn't have this. And so, like you said, we learned it in the moment and we're nervous and scared and not very welcomed. So you guys are just... You are on the cutting edge, guys. You just don't know you are. So I'm tickled for you. Kaylee Stanton, Kristen Tate, Bridget Tucker, Sarah Vacco, and Kenna Vostatek.
So the whole goal of the White Coat program is for the students to build their knowledge up, and we tried this with the first one, and we were amazed. And the we are the team of nurses and allied health clinicians that were involved in this, respiratory therapists, lab, we had physical therapy, and they were amazed at how much learning the students retained, because at the very end, we do 2 days of trauma drills. And so what the student is expected to do is to rely on all the tidbits of exercises they did throughout the entire White Coat program and be able to see how much they remembered. Now, they all have mentors and they all have guidance, so we don't just throw them in. But in this case, obviously this was pre-COVID, that's why we don't have any of those masks on. But you'll see that in this mannequin, this individual was taking labs for the individual that was going through a trauma.
And now I need Aubrey Williams, Amy Wood, and Giselle Youssef.
This is probably the most favorite part of the White Coat program, are those trauma drills. It starts off with the ambulance, so yes, EMS is involved in this White Coat program. The cowboys are there. We have quite a bit. Our students love when EMS is in the house. They do get to get inside an ambulance. They'll learn how to put a patient. Those are heavy mannequins that weigh about 180 pounds, and they realize how little they actually have to do in terms of lifting, because we have the stretchers that do all the lifting for them, and then they work with our respiratory therapists to do airway management. Again, none of this would be possible if we didn't have the support of Shannon Noctegal. She has 700 employees underneath, and anytime I pick up the phone and say, Shannon, can I have, and she says yes. 800 now, and David Fox is right behind you. So if you're at 800, he's probably now at 700. Same thing, I can call David and say, David, I need respiratory therapy, I need EMS, and he says, absolutely. So without those two leaders, especially donating their leadership team and their frontline workers to the White Coat program, none of this would be made possible for your students. So thank you. So, what I'd like to do now is I'm going to turn this over to David Fox. He is our Chief Operation Officer. He is going to close this out. David is known for his gregarious personality style, and he is Chief Operating Officer, handles all the Allied Health Plus. And I'm going to go ahead and let him tell you what that plus is also about.
Very good, very good. Hey, good morning. You guys are a little flat this morning. This is supposed to be a memorable event. So let's try it again. Good morning. Good morning. That's right. I'm your closing speaker. So that means when I'm done, you get to go back to class or do whatever it is you normally do. So congratulations, group. How about those white coats, huh? They look great. They look great? Well, I might as well indoctrinate you here just a little bit. Back in my day, as a kid growing up, I was the on-field coach playing on the athletic field. Didn't know the direction in my life, where I wanted to go, but I had to take a first step. Today, you're taking your first step. My first step back in 1986 was in junior executive training at Jacksonville High School, great public high school down in Central Arkansas. That junior executive training prepared me well for moments like today, to stand here before you and to read and present to you some closing remarks that hopefully are meaningful. When I was 20 years old, I took my first position in a hospital as a phlebotomist. I knew I wanted to serve, I knew I wanted to help others, but I wasn't sure how. I combined a little bit of what I learned in high school with what I'd already learned in college to take that junior executive training and that phlebotomy skill, and I continued into the field of nuclear medicine technology as I graduated from the University of Central Arkansas with a bachelor's degree in nuclear medicine technology. Folks, here's the deal. It begins now. It begins right now. This is a first step for you. It's a butterfly effect. What happens to the rest of your life begins today with the initiative that you all are taking with your white coat ceremony today. You'll look back on today and you'll reflect back when you were a kid just as I do. And you'll think back to this marvelous moment, this ceremony. That's supposed to be off. And that's my phone. My apologies, Sarah. You'll think back to this day and you'll reflect back to the beginning, this first step. That's why I opened my closing remarks. This is an important milestone and first step in your life, in your career, and what you do. Also, being that kid that grew up in high school, one thing I learned real quick is that I could be a leader in any role that I was in. I wasn't the quarterback. Look at me. I was not built like a quarterback. Okay? But you know what I could? I could influence. I could coach my other teammates. I could encourage them. You're going to have good days and bad days, students. You're going to have struggles. You're going to have questions. You're going to have moments where you're thinking, did I make the right decision? Is this really what I'm passionate about? Is this really what I am called to do? I will tell you, as a grown man with 7 children in front of me, I coach and I encourage my kids each and every day. As a father of 7 children, they make mistakes, just as you will. They have good days and bad days, just as you do. But when you hit those moments in your life where you're questioning your decisions, did I make the right choice? Think back to today. Why are you seated in the seat that you're sitting in now, wearing that white coat and that stethoscope? And the reason is that you have a passion for serving. You have a commitment to continue caring. You want to serve your community. You want a good job. You want to start a great career. You're hungry to learn. You're ready to advance your career and make a difference in the world that is before you. So, parents, I sit right where you are. I am a parent. I have 3 kids also in junior high and high school. I have 4 kids that have moved on to college and continuing education, one that's married with 2 children of her own. I will tell you, when those moments and those days come where they're struggling, where they're questioning what decisions they've made, what their choices are, they'll need your encouragement. They'll need your coaching. They'll need your love. They'll need your support. As you begin a career in healthcare, it starts with that individual in the seat and what's inside that chest, the heart. We care. We want to make a difference. So keep those words that I've just shared with you close to your own heart. There will be bad days and there'll be good days. Just remember, encourage them. So in closing, and on behalf of Baxter Regional and our community health affiliates, I want to thank all of you for your sincere desire today to serve. I want to thank Dr. Jake Long, Superintendent of Mountain Home Public Schools, Dr. Julia Gist, Director of Healthcare at ASU Mountain Home. I want to thank you parents for helping your students to prepare for a career in healthcare. And finally, students, thank you for your passion. Thank you for your engagement and your willingness to learn and your commitment to serve others. Be committed. Be a difference maker. It begins today. You're smart, you're helpful, you're responsible, and you're nice. My chief nursing officer and colleague, Shannon Noctegal, just pointed out all those elements. She was right, 100%. Those are all important. The one thing I would add, have passion. Have passion. Love what you do. Care for what you do. Okay? Baxter Regional is growing. Baxter Regional is expanding. We continue to make significant contributions and differences in our healthcare community, not only in the county of Baxter County, but Marion County and another 10 to 12 counties surrounding us in north central Arkansas and southern Missouri. We want to attract talent just like yourselves, sitting right there in those chairs. We need you. The pandemic has been difficult to work through, no doubt. It hasn't changed my resolve that I made a great choice in the career field I chose. It hasn't made any difference in how I deliver the care or how I lead my team. What it does do is it makes me wear this stupid mask, and it makes me get a vaccine of which I wish that I didn't have to get, but it's here among us. And we have to be strong, we have to be courageous, and we have to do the right thing. And so I commend you at a time during a pandemic of putting forth the effort of ensuring that you're taking that right first step. Baxter Regional needs you in more ways than one. We need to get clinicians who simply have a heart, they look forward for meaning and purpose to serve with passion, and they want to be professionals. Why don't you let Baxter Regional invest in you? Baxter Regional will do that. We will invest in you. We have scholarships that will fund anything from medical school to nursing school, paramedic school, careers in laboratory, respiratory, along with other ancillary support areas like the cardiopulmonary area. The front line of our infection control is EVS. They take great care of our folks. Dietary and dietitians serve the needs in more ways than you can ever imagine of just serving a meal. Baxter Regional truly wants to invest in you. With those scholarships that are readily available, think through your process of what is my second step. Today's your first step. You're taking it as a high school student. Where will your career continue to promote? The second step leads you even further on your journey of 1,000 miles, and you're taking that first step today. Thank you for your time and attention. Thank you for your passion and your eagerness to learn. Thank you for being here today. Those are my closing remarks. I'm proud of you. You'll make us all proud. Continue to work hard. Continue to do well. And when the going gets tough, keep on going. Thank you so much.
Students, parents, what we're going to do now is we want to get some pictures. And I'm sure your folks want to have some pictures of you as well. So we are going to, and business advisory folks, administrators, we want a collective picture, correct, Sarah? We want a collective picture for everyone. Ms. Seaman, whatever you would like for media purposes, you just tell us also. I appreciate it, and so that's what we're going to do